Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Megan, the mother of tarot. Today's video, we're going to talk about how awesome it is to be an empath because a lot of people view it as such a negative thing and it kind of frustrates me. So let's talk about all the benefits because over time, I get it. At first, when I learned about being an empath, being a highly sensitive, intuitive person, it kind of freaked me out, made me upset, it made me want to be more normal. But through the years, I've learned how beautiful it is, how healing it is, and I want to talk about all that. So first I'm going to start with signs you're an empath, then we're going to get into the benefits of it. After that, I want to talk about how to protect your energy, because this was something that really confused me for a while, especially when I started doing tarot readings, how to protect myself. It didn't matter how much sage I burned or how many crystals I worked with. It wasn't enough until I practiced these new techniques of awareness, so I'm going to talk about that as well. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. I do a lot of videos on everything spiritual, a lot of pick a card readings, and I'm here to really empower you, bring you clarity, peace of mind, and help you on your path. So if you feel like that'll help you out along your journey, make sure to subscribe to join the tribe. Okay, so the first few signs of being an empath I think are really important because when you're an empath, you're very highly intuitive. You're very sensitive to those energies around you, and you're typically the kind of person that people come to for help. So if people come to you for help, or maybe if you meet a stranger and right away they kind of start opening up about their life and their problems, and they feel as though there's like a safe space for them to open up, then you're probably an empath. Another common sign is you feel other people's energies really strongly. So when you help them, you feel really drained afterwards. Or maybe if you're at a crowded place, you can really feel that and it drains you. And when you're helping people, you're really good, if you're an empath, you're really good at understanding people. You have a very open mind and you're good at seeing all the different viewpoints. So sometimes you have a hard time picking sides or forming strong opinions because you see the right and the wrong in everything. And it makes it really confusing and really hard to pick a side or get in an argument with somebody or something like that. Which leads me to the next point. Empaths have a hard time setting boundaries, at least they can. So when people come to you for help and they really need you, you have a really hard time saying no. Now, before I get more into the list that I have, I do want to say that if you're an empath, you don't have to have all of these characteristic traits, just a few. But some of you I know watching, you probably like, yep, I have all of these, but you don't have to have all of them. So with that energy, you also could, if you're an empath, you could walk into a room and feel when the energy's off, or you could tell if somebody's in a bad mood or somebody just had a fight. It's very obvious and you could feel that energy very strongly. Another sign is if you watch TV, it's hard for you to watch really scary movies or violent films and things like that. So with everybody coming to get help from you, you also have a strong urge to help people or animals or the planet. You have a strong urge to feel like you can make a big difference because you can, you're right, but you have that urge and you have that intuitive feeling that you have a lot to give and that your presence is really needed. And then another sign of being an empath is if you feel, if you have like physical problems or depression or anxiety. With physical problems, it's a lot of digestive issues and chronic illness too can be a big sign of being an empath. Also, another thing you could experience, which I experience this kind of mildly, but if somebody around me is not feeling good or if I see they're really hurt or they hurt themselves, you can actually feel that pain. Now, this is a more extreme type of being an empath, but it does happen. When I see somebody in pain, I'll have this whole feeling of intense sensitivity. I don't know how to describe it. It's almost painful, but it just kind of shocks through my system. So that's another sign of being an empath. So a lot of empaths are really drawn to holistic remedies. Also, another sign is you have a hard time doing things that you don't really enjoy. And then some other signs are really connected to nature. There's also what's called an earth empath, and they're very connected with nature. They feel really balanced out when they spend time outside in their energy. And for some of you, you could be affected by the weather. I know earthquakes always affect me, and I have a hard time sleeping whenever one happens. So these are just the basic signs. I probably didn't get all of them. You can feel intuitively. Most of you watching probably know whether you're an empath or not, but if you resonated with any of these signs, then you most likely are. Now, what is an empath? An empath is a highly sensitive, highly intuitive, healer. Most empaths in my mind's eye are healers. Now I could be wrong with that, but I would say from my experience and the people that I've met, every empath I've come across has really strong healing abilities, especially when I do readings with clients and they are an empathetic soul. I can just see all the healing potential within them. But with that great power and that great sensitivity to the energies around them, it can be very overwhelming. It can suck sometimes. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I don't like being an empath and I don't want to be so sensitive because we have some sort of negative perception when it comes to that word sensitivity. Like, oh, you're just sensitive. Like, man up, you're sensitive. And that's the word that I associate mostly with empath. At least I have in the past. But being sensitive isn't a bad thing. Being sensitive is being in touch with your intuition. Being an empath has given me the ability to be able to communicate with my body through chronic illness and heal myself. Being an empath has given me the ability to have so much compassion because empaths have so much compassion for humans and animals and the planet. It's given me the ability and the strength and the willingness to want to help people and to make strong shifts on my path to make it happen. So I want you to know, if you're an empath, automatically you have this really calming effect on people. It's actually really powerful. This is something I realized recently, is that you don't even have to say anything to anybody. So if someone's having a rough day and you're just in the same room with them, your power, your energy is very contagious and it radiates a lot of calming energy. You don't even have to be in the best mood, but you have that caring presence about you. So if you're just in a room with people and they are having a rough time, you don't even have to say anything, just your presence. And that might sound really dramatic or extreme, but it's very true. I want you to just know that. So if you feel like you're not helping somebody or you're not doing enough for somebody, just be there. Just be in their energy and just listen, or just be around them and give them a hug if you can. Or it's really, really powerful, and it sounds silly, but I swear it's so healing. Also, being an empath gives you this really beautiful power to be able to heal yourself. So if you're dealing with chronic illness, anxiety, or depression, when you can start to navigate this energy within you, all this extra energy, if you want to call it like that, when you can navigate it around your body, you can start to communicate with your body and you use those kind of healing modalities within yourself and with other people. So it's almost being an empath, it's almost having like an extra amount of energy. And when you don't know how to navigate through that, it becomes very overwhelming, because with that extra positive energy, you also have an extra anxiety or depression and things like that, and it can feel intense at times, especially when you're feeling other people's energy, and it just magnifies your energy. That's why we bring in these healing holistic therapies. That's why empaths are really drawn to meditation, to tarot readers, to the spiritual community, because there's so many tools that help us calm our energy and use it for good, right? Also, as an empath, you're a peacemaker. You're a very good listener. You listen to people with a very more open-minded perspective. You can hear what they say in multiple different ways, whereas most people will interpret something somebody says as one way. Being an empath, you're more sensitive to that. You're picking up on how they're actually feeling while they're saying that, because everyone's perception of everything is different. But being an empath opens up your perception, opens up your mind. So when someone comes to you with a problem, you see it in multiple different ways. It can almost be confusing on how to help them, because you could be like, well, they might mean this, they might mean that, they might mean this, they might mean that. And it's really necessary to really hone in on their energy, or to just, ask them, okay, well, I'm getting a few different things. Like, is this what you need? Or is this what you're saying? Or is this what's going on? Because it can be kind of overwhelming because you're interpreting things. You can also be, as an empath, something that I realized, it kind of ties in, is you can feel kind of stupid sometimes, because you'll hear someone say something and you won't know how to respond because you understand it in like 5 different ways. And I realized that I had that since I was a kid, where somebody would say something to me and I would be like, I'd have to sit there and think, because I'm like, well, did they mean this? Did they mean that? Did they mean this? Did they mean that? And I thought that made me slow. I thought that made me stupid. And then when I got older, I realized, oh, I just see what they're saying from 5 different perspectives. So really understand that as well, and take your time when you're responding to people, because you need extra time. You need extra time as a highly sensitive, empathetic person. Another beautiful benefit of being an empath is really loving being in your own energy, loving being by yourself, and because you're kind of needing it to recharge, right? You need to recharge, you need to be by yourself. But there's a lot of people that struggle with that. Some people can't be by themselves, and they have a hard time spending time with themselves. So I really love that about being an empath, that I could just spend days and days in my own energy. It's almost to a fault, right? But I think that's a beautiful thing, as long as you're not completely avoiding everybody out in the world. I think that's a beautiful thing, especially during this pandemic. I know a lot of us empaths are having a little bit of an easier time in those regards because we're so okay with spending time in solitude and time with ourselves. All right, so now that you know how amazing and powerful it is to be an empath, now it's time to bring in some beautiful mantras. So with understanding our power better, because everybody's empathetic abilities are going to be different. Some are going to have strengths in other areas that other people don't. So really starting to work with it and accept it. Accepting that you're an empath and accepting it as part of your gifts, I think, is the first step to really owning it and to really stepping into the power of it. So if you're feeling still uneasy about being an empath and being sensitive, start with a mantra every morning, right? I'm stepping into my empathetic abilities, my superpower, and I love it, and I'm going to use these extra energies to help heal the world so I can understand and interpret and communicate and be the peacemaker that I am, the healer that I am. Use whatever words work best for you. Okay, now I also want to talk about protecting your energy, because I understand what that's like. I get it. When I try to help people, I feel drained after it sometimes. And when I first started doing my tarot readings, I noticed after an hour session of helping somebody and using my intuition and working with the cards that I felt so tired. I felt so drained, and I was burning sage, I was setting my intentions, I was using mantras, I had my crystals, I had all of these things. And I was talking to my boyfriend on the phone because he at the same time was helping out with this organization. It was a suicidal helpline. And so he would go in for he would spend one day every weekend, all day at this place, and just talk to people that wanted to kill themselves. Now that is some of the hardest work, I think, that anybody could do, because I haven't even helped someone through that yet. So I can imagine how, and he would be drained sometimes, or he'd be a little tired, but he wouldn't be completely drained, right? I would be able to talk to him afterwards, and he would talk to me about what I was experiencing, because I'm like, oh, I just feel so drained, and he was like, you have the power to not be drained, you have the power within you don't need all this sage and all these crystals. And I'm like, I don't understand. And really he just had to help me shift my awareness when I was helping people, because a lot of the times when we help people, we really feel their energy, right? We feel their energy and we dive completely into it. We dive into it. So if they're really sad, they're really hurt, they're very upset about something, we feel it, and then we stay in that energy. We kind of sink into it. And what's important as an empath is learning how to help people and create space for them. And I love that kind of term, create space, because I think that's important for us not to absorb it, but to create space and realize that the person that's coming to you for help, that their pain that they're experiencing is their pain, and we can't take that from them. Now, I say we can't take that from them because we can't absorb that to make them feel better. Because if we do that, if we absorb their pain, yes, they might feel a little bit better, but they're not learning the lesson that they need to learn through that pain. Because every time that we experience pain in this lifetime, it's teaching us a lesson, and it is a beautiful experience that's transforming us and helping us grow. And when you look at it from that perspective, you realize that, okay, this is this person's pain. This is the type of life that this person wanted to live. This is the experience this person needs to learn to grow, to move past their trauma, to move past their cycles of negative patterns, right? It's their pain. So yes, we should help them. I'm not saying you shouldn't help them. Create space. Create a space for them to be able to come to you and vent, right? Or ask for help, and not feeling in their pain, staying strong, saying like, if I feel bad for this person, I'm literally absorbing their pain. So I'm going to stay in my energy. I'm going to stay in who I am, and I'm not going to feel, this takes practice. It's not like you just do this and you're good to go, right? This still takes practice for me, because sometimes I work with clients that have really chaotic energy, or they just went through something really horrible, and it takes practice. It takes practice. But kind of saying to yourself, okay, I'm going to stay in my energy and I'm going to hold space for them and I'm going to let them feel that pain. I'm going to let them feel that pain. And then I'm going to give them whatever words of advice that come up. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm not going to worry that I didn't help them enough. I'm going to accept that whatever comes up organically, because the most important thing you can do when you're helping somebody is listening to them and validating them, right? Because a lot of people just want to be heard and they want to feel like what they're going through is real and it's valid, right? Because we can feel kind of crazy when we're going through any kind of hard, tough situation. So that's the most important thing, is just listening and validating. And then afterwards, if something comes up to your mind where you can give them words of advice, then you just let it come organically. And you accept that's enough. You have to accept it. Like, that is enough. That's all I need. And if I didn't completely help them and get them out of this situation, then I was a piece of the puzzle. I was part of it. And they'll find somebody else, or spirit or their guides will help them find the next person or the next book or the next meditation or whatever they need to heal completely, and just accepting that and letting it go. And then when you're done helping somebody, when you're done, you say, okay, I'm not going to think about this anymore. Or if I feel like I need to think about it again, I'm going to designate a time later for 10 minutes, 15 minutes where I can maybe take notes on it or something like that if I need that. But really just completely moving away from the energy. And I don't say this as being like cold-hearted or anything like that. That's how you protect it. That's how you say, if you keep thinking about what that person told you and you keep thinking about, oh, I'm just so worried about them. Oh, I just hope they are doing okay. Oh, I should just say another prayer for them. If you kind of keep in that energy, that's how you absorb it. That's how you absorb it, is by dwelling in it. And that doesn't help them, because what helps that person is you staying strong in your energy so you can bring them up to your energy. But they have to feel through that pain first. So that's how I view energy now. If I think I absorbed someone's energy too much, it's probably because I came down to their level. I tried to take away their pain instead of creating the space for them. And then I dwelled in it afterward. And I noticed when I started making these shifts and I started practicing this, I wasn't feeling completely drained after my readings. I wasn't feeling completely tired and like I just needed to sleep the rest of the day. It's really, really powerful. So while I'm not saying sage or crystals or things like that don't work, I'm not saying that. I still use sage. I still work with crystals a lot. You guys know that. If you're subscribed to my channel, you guys know I love all of that kind of stuff. But I'm saying that awareness, that perception, and how you work with that energy is going to transform you if you're an empath. It's creating space. Think of that. Like, even when someone just comes to you and they say, oh, I need help with this or that, but like, okay, say in your mind, like, okay, I'm going to create space for this person. I'm going to let them feel their pain. I'm going to listen to them. I'm going to validate them. And then whatever kind of encouraging words, or if I can shift their perception to help them, that's great. And I'm going to accept that that's enough. When we're done, I am going to go and do whatever you need to do. Like, sometimes after an intense reading, if I have to just go on Netflix or like YouTube and just watch a funny video just to kind of push me out of that energy, to keep me in my own energy, do what it takes. Like, some people say, oh, meditation, sometimes that works for me, but if it's a really intense reading, I have to just, get on YouTube and watch a stand-up comedian or something and just shake it off. So, or a lot of times I get right in nature. Nature for me is very clearing. It helps clear a lot of energy. That's another thing. Get in nature, get in an Epsom salt bath, going for a swim. Those are all excellent tools for clearing energy as well. And when you're learning these new techniques, also, practicing mantras with that, because words are so powerful. So after you're done helping somebody, or if you spent time, maybe you feel it after being in a crowded room. Maybe you feel drained after just going somewhere where there's a lot of people. As saying, even if it's just in your head while you're there, like, I'm standing in my own energy, I'm creating space, I'm shining healing light, nothing is shaking me, I am not being drained by anything, kind of using your words and understanding that, because if you think you walk into a crowded room and you're going to absorb people's energy and then you have this fear and this uncomfortable feeling, then you're going to, right? Or sometimes it's more the fear that drains you than the actual energy. I've realized that too, because when I realized I was an empath and I started to become scared of being around certain people because I thought it was just going to bring me down, or it was going to cause more inflammation in my body, cause more health problems, right? That fear of being around people was more damaging to my energy than actually being around the people. So just having that awareness, being open to it, practicing these tips. I really hope this helps you guys. Comment down below if it did, or if you have more questions on this, because I would love to give you guys back words of encouragement. Being an empath it's a tricky life. It is. It can be hard, but it is so rewarding. It took me a while to start seeing that and to really accept it, and I have moments where I'm still accepting it because I'm like, do I like being an empath? Do I like being sensitive? But I can tell you that having this ability is what gives me the power to be able to help a lot of people, and it gave me the encouragement to start making videos for my YouTube channel and all of this stuff. So there are blessings that come with this. It's really about shifting your perception. It's about practicing acceptance and really letting go and all of these things that I've been talking about. So I love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me and my channel. If you guys have any recommendations for any videos that you guys want me to make, please put them down in the comments because I love hearing from you all, and I will see you next time.